Our next writer, Barbara Barrows. She's a poet living in Batavia with her daughter Annika and various pets. By day, she is a media researcher working at Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. She has been an important part of Waterline Writers since just about the beginning, maybe even the first one, I can't remember. She is a board member at the Teen Writers and Artists Project and heartily encourages all of us to support this amazing resource for young writers and artists. Barbara, please.
Okay, so after Don's very dramatic and exciting, I'm going to be reading about spiders. So, bit of a letdown there. But first, this is an incident. When you almost die suddenly, your mind doesn't ask, how much do you love this world? There's just the prickling awareness that something is out of place in the natural order of your morning commute. Then the flood of frozen panic as you tip with the train car, healing as sailboats do under a skilled or foolish captain. All those times you wondered what a plane full of people felt in their last quick moments before falling into their graves are simply clear that they were flung to the other side bewildered. Maybe you have already died in your heart as your mind tries to comprehend the event. And you can tell by looking at the other passengers that they only know what you know, but you lock eyes anyway, trying to find the answers in each other's faces. Besides, what else can you do when chaos moves into your world? Then God and the laws of physics say no, not today, and the train is righted. 15 seconds have passed. Your mind catches up with your body, and now fear is in full alignment. There is the inevitable post-traumatic murmur, but mostly silence from the shaken, grateful crowd as each one answers, how much do you love this life? And for you, it pours warmly into the cup of your body like liquid sun. The train starts, and your day continues along its projected lines. And here's the spider poem. So cruel to an unsuspecting population of flies and gnats to abandon their traps in the cement corners of dusty basements and cold stairwells, like mines forgotten in a field after the war has ended and the enemy has gone home to warm beds. These sticky nets, untended, unsprung, wait for the careless step of an unweary traveler, destined to become dinner for no one. And this is Wedding Blue. The weather is lovely for their wedding, unlike the wedding for his first, ours. It was a sweltering in September. Now I sit in a cool room with a small sorrow nesting in my temples, concentrating on my loss instead of my gain. Years later, maybe in a life after, it will all make sense that it had to be this way. And if not comforted by the concept of fate, then at least pricked by the opening of an opportunity, the chance to fully be myself, whoever that might be, rather than bending my thoughts and actions around a body with a stronger gravitational pull than mine. Finally, I must sit with myself, keep company with someone I have both criticized and ignored, know that whoever shows up, messy, anxious, scatterbrained, is priceless beyond measure. This is a subway musician. This is part of this ongoing and yet something I've been marvelously wonderful at procrastinating at, where I'm reinterpreting Mother Goose rhymes. So see if you can spot this one, but I think you should be able to. The long, mournful notes reach me over the rush of commuters at the Red Line. The biting damp of January, magnified in the subway, pries through the small gaps of my scarf, stabbing my neck. My feet numb in the cold slush. The musician, old beyond his years, evoking memories of miles, coaxes liquid gold from banged-up brass. Men and women, desirous to get the next train at any cost, press past me. I am slowed by the lingering notes of a funny Valentine as they shimmer echo off the grimy tiles and crumbling cement. The roar of the trains drowns the last precious notes. Now I stand in the near empty station. A homeless man, shapeless in layers, takes up residence on the lone bench and settles down for what sleep he can catch. My fingers enclose a worn dollar. I put it in the dirty bucket in front of the young man. Gaze askance, he nods, raises his horn, and notes of flamingo sketches lift into the air and float into my body. The notes so achingly lonely that my sadness can't compete, and I just ride the wave of sorrow till it crests and calms. For a moment I am whole, as the next round of worker bees start filing into the makeshift cathedral. Okay, now these last two poems came out of the wordplay that is Teen Writers and Artists Project. The last one being the one I said I was going to, if you were here in January, I was supposed to read at the end, but there were so many kids and they did such an amazing job that we decided to hold it off until today. So if you weren't there and thought you would escape any kind of reference to TWOP, I'm sorry to disappoint you. This is an amazing, amazing group. And yes, I'm on the board, so I get to say that. But you should too, because this is a workshop, it's an organization that has at least three free writing programs for teenagers a month in the Fox Valley. They have one at Mooseheart, they have one up in their space in Elgin, and they have one at Marquee. And the whole evening is set up. They have a workshop, they have an open mic, and then they have a featured artist, usually a young poet that comes out from Chicago. And this is, the whole evening gets kids writing that maybe don't even want to write, although why they would be there, I haven't worked that out. But any kid that comes with their story is welcome and encouraged. And it gets people excited about writing. And, you know, isn't that amazing that you have teens that are excited about writing and sharing their stories? So that's my proselytizing, and now you guys get to bear the brunt of a couple of poems that came out of that for me. This is Campsville. The wind whips my hair in the back of a pickup truck in the heat of late August afternoon. I am 450 miles from the Chicago suburbs in a small southern Illinois town digging for the bones of dead people. I tested gifted in middle school, the upshot of which is a teen archaeological dig in a week in Campsville. It is my first trip without my family. We roll out of the barracks they call dorms into frost mornings and the scent of homemade rolls. During the day, we engage in some of the most mind-numbingly boring work under the sun, the type that my skin type is supposed to avoid. Lunches are Wonder Bread sandwiches of bologna and mustard, some kind of sweet drink that attracts what seems to be hundreds of wasps. And then there are the boys, tall and blonde. I am 13 and in love with all of them as they play King of the Hill on the dirt we just excavated. We bounce back to the dorms in the back of pickup trucks, nary a seatbelt in sight. This is the 1970s after all. The wind dances through my hair and over my skin. I feel unbelievably sexy. I think of every shampoo commercial and Charlie's Angels episodes where poster-worthy long-haired women toss their manes to attract the blonde boys I am in love with. I am one of these creatures, and I know I must look like one of them, even though my hair is curly to the point of frizzy. I ride over, I dash to the bathroom to behold this vision of ripening womanhood. What stares back at me will haunt me for years. Medusa in the mirror, or a banshee, if I'm honest, a clown. My makeup, the dirt encasing the bones of dead people, which is what I wish I was right now as I ratchet down the ladder of my self-esteem. Decades later, I can't remember a single fact of the Hopewell people from the earnest graduate students' nightly lectures. What stays with me is the shattering of an illusion that we do not look how we feel. Our rich, wild yearnings staying buried beneath the layers of dermis that will rarely be excavated. And now this last poem this was taken after a style, so I kind of followed the format of Andrea Gibson. She writes poems that are very similar to they're kind of calls of action. There's a lot of repetition. It's a very spoken word style and very different than the kind of poems I usually write. So, and this is In Praise of a Lifeline. This is for the sparkly unicorn diary that contains your thoughts that you are considering leaving this world. This may be the only safe place for you to wrestle the demons of self-hate tormenting you. This is for that song you played 200 times as it seemed like it was the only thing keeping you rooted to this plane of existence. For the author that wrote a character you're sure was based on your life, a life she deemed worthy and fantastic. For a teacher who said, "You're really good at this," and kept saying it until whatever it was started to ring true. For a mom who drove you to every lesson, practice, rehearsal, and in doing so taught you that progress is so often made in the tiny steps of just showing up and doing, even if the doing doesn't feel like it's accomplishing anything. For a dad who cheered from the sidelines and brushed off a bad performance by saying, "That happens. It's just part of playing this game you want to play." This is for your friends who don't think you are a mess, or do, but love you for all your warts, bad hair, and dramatics. This is for your cat who keeps your secrets and your dog who licks your tears, even though that's a bit gross. This is for the doctor who says, "We'll keep adjusting the medication until we find one that works." This is for the acupuncturist who says, "Get your butt in here 3 times a week and we'll get you off the medication." This is for the aunt who doesn't mind pissing off either the doctors or the acupuncturists if it gets you the referral or the therapy you need. For the uncle who accidentally lets a family secret slip that explains a weird silence that everyone dances around because he knows that most secrets ferment in the dark into a shame that runs through the generations. This is for the youth minister that says, "You're not crazy for believing that, you're normal." This is for the school social worker who says, "You're not crazy, but that is not normal," as she reaches for the phone. This is for the pastor's wife who hugs you at coffee hour after that mortifying clip of you is posted online and says in a voice loud enough for everyone to hear, "I'm glad there wasn't an internet when I was growing up or I'd never be a pastor's wife." Don't listen to the trolls, honey. They're sad, sick people and they haven't lived like us, as she fires a warning glance to her parishioners in whispered clusters. This is for the drag queen who showed you that if you don't like who you are, you can put on a wig and equal parts makeup and attitude and fake it until you are fabulous, because we are always reinventing ourselves, but sometimes you need a stage and a soundtrack to show it off. This is for the anonymous man on the suicide hotline who says he cares even though he's never met you, and that you are brave and worthy and strong and valuable. This is for that small teen writing program that creates a safe space to tell your story, that thinks your quirks are not to be corrected but celebrated. And if there is no one like this in your life, this is for those YouTube videos with stories of people who have gone through your life or worse and come out the other side of high school to a better world. And if you're on the other side of school and it still isn't better, this is for knowing that you have a tribe out there who will hold you in the wolves circle and cheer you as you take those steps into a life that is not lived for anybody but you. And until that tribe appears, this is for you. For holding fast to a vision that they will be found in your art, your work, your faith, your mission, your politics, but that you might need to be the one that makes the first call. This is for that power that keeps us reaching, that knows when we reach out, we reach up, and that power will flow into and through us until we shine like the stars we are made of. And finally, this is for that sparkly unicorn diary that contains your thoughts that you are staying in this world. You still wrestle the demons of self-hate, but the sparkly unicorn now brandishes a sword, a symbol of the warrior you have become.